Louisiana's proposed new voting system. Will it deliver secure elections? This presentation aims to answer that crucial question. Before we get started, here are three terms and how they are used: voting system, election system, 100% transparency. Voting system, a system that uses voting machines and computer software, or a system without machines that uses hand-marked and hand-counted paper ballots to cast, count, and report votes. Election system is the voting system, plus the voter rolls, plus the legal statutes governing elections. This presentation focuses on the voting system. "100% transparency" means any and every feature of the voting system, without exception, can be examined at any time by Louisiana to monitor security. A system that is not 100% transparent cannot be guaranteed to be secure. And now for the details on Louisiana's proposed new voting system. The acquisition of our new voting system, estimated to cost more than $100 million, is being governed by legislation known as Act 480 of 2021. Here is the top of page 1 of Act number 480. In the left-hand corner at the top, you can see that it started life as Senate Bill number 221 during the 2021 regular session. And below that, you can see who the authors were. Here is one of the most worrisome details of this act. Page 4, line 7 of Act 480 reads, "Voting machines shall be used throughout the state in all elections." And here it is on page 4 of Act 480. What is worrisome here is the demand for machines is not coupled with a corresponding demand for 100% transparency of the system in an effort to ensure maximum security. Without 100% transparency, critical parts of the system are left unmonitored by Louisiana. This invites and allows hacking of the system and renders it unsecure. There is another problem with Act 480's demand for voting machines. It slams the door shut on a hand count voting system. A hand count voting system, for purposes of this presentation, uses paper ballots that are hand marked, then hand counted, and no machines are used. Act 480 requires voting machines. Since a hand count system has none, Act 480 essentially forbids a hand count voting system. Ironically, a hand count system has no machines or computers, software, and is therefore transparent by default, which means it is more secure than a voting machine system. Did the architects of Act 480 not realize this? If not, did Louisiana have a sufficiently knowledgeable team in place for this crucially important project? If 480's architects did realize this, why did they slam the door on this inherently transparent system while not requiring transparency for any of the others? Either way, it does not bode well for the security of our proposed voting system. There are many citizens, however, who are aware of the built-in security that is offered by the transparency of a hand count system. This awareness continues to spread and has spawned a growing movement in this country to adopt hand count elections. Even the Republican National Committee has joined the movement, issuing a resolution on hand count elections. Here is a quote from that resolution. Resolved, the Republican National Committee calls on state legislatures to pass laws that allow for full, transparent hand counting procedures. Here is page 1 of that resolution. Page 2 of the resolution with the quote highlighted. And here's a close-up of that quote on page 2. Contrary to the bogus claims of its vocal opponents, hand count elections are quite doable. This was recently proven by the successful April 2023 hand count election in Osage County, Missouri. That's very important. This was recently proven by the successful April 2023 hand count election in Osage County, Missouri. More details on this a bit later. First, we need to take a deeper dive into Act 480 by taking a look at the Voting System Commission this Act created. The purpose of this commission, the Voting System Commission, is to provide the highest level of election security. And here it is on Act 480. Though this commission's purpose was to provide the highest level of election security, it made a conscious decision not to require 100% transparency. Reason: proprietary software issues. The commission assumed the owners of the available voting machine systems would not agree to 100% transparency. By way of this decision, the Commission inadvertently telegraphed the fact that it will not require a secure, that is, a 100% transparent system. Since the Commission's purpose is to provide the highest level of election security, does this not strike you as a bit odd? What exactly is going on here? First, the architects of 480 neglected to require 100% system transparency. Then, Act 480's Voting System Commission decided not to require 100% system transparency. It appears that neither Act 480 nor its Voting System Commission were intently focused on system security. Here is another section of Act 480 that indicates system transparency, and therefore security, was not its primary focus. Page 9 reads in part, "The Commission shall conduct a preliminary analysis of available voting systems for the evaluation of which voting systems are most advantageous to the state based on functionality." And here is that quote on page 9 of Act 480. Why did the architects of Act 480 limit the search to only available voting systems? Doesn't that freeze the roster with the same old controversial players and only them in the game? And why require an evaluation for functionality instead of security? Shouldn't system security in the form of 100% transparency take precedence over functionality? In light of the above, system transparency and therefore system security was obviously not 480's top priority. What then was Act 480's top priority? That is a very good question. Let us imagine for a moment that system security was the top priority of Act 480. If that were the case, we would reasonably expect the following. The architects of Act 480 would have required 100% transparency of the system. This could easily have been communicated to the Voting System Commission with the addition of 4 words to page 9. Instead of reading, "The Commission shall conduct a preliminary analysis of available voting systems for the evaluation of which voting systems are most advantageous to the state based on functionality," it would have read, and should have read, "The Commission shall conduct a preliminary analysis of available voting systems that are 100% transparent for the evaluation of which voting systems are most advantageous to the state based on functionality." This section would then have aligned perfectly with 480's stated purpose for its Voting System Commission to provide the highest level of election security. Let us further suppose, as the Voting System Commission actually did, that no prospective vendors, because of proprietary software, would agree to the 100% transparency requirement. In that case, the only available system remaining is the one without proprietary software. That, of course, is a hand count system. To be sure, it is an available system. It was available well before voting machines came along. This scenario is not only reasonable, it is necessary. If system security is the top priority, the primary requirement is, logically, 100% system transparency. This is the way it has to be to achieve honest and secure elections. Notice how a hand count system naturally bobs to the surface as the most secure system when 100% transparency is required. And why wouldn't Louisiana want a hand count system? In addition to its inherent security, it is advantageous in a number of ways compared to machine systems. Here are 5 advantages. A hand count system is more cost-effective because it has no expensive machines, nor the considerable ongoing expenses that go along with them. This is reason enough to recommend it as our next voting system. A hand count system is buildable and controllable in-house. Louisiana can build a hand count system and manage it with no need for outsiders, provided, of course, that Louisiana is at least as smart as Osage County, Missouri. A hand count system is inherently more auditable. When the electric grid goes down, a hand count system remains functional. The security of a hand count system remains superior, even when Louisiana officials are less than diligent, or worse, in policing and protecting our election system. For example, there will be no cybersecurity alerts to ignore. For those who may be wondering about the claim that Louisiana officials are less than diligent, or worse, in policing and protecting our election system, let's take a brief detour from the hand count system to list some quick examples. Please note that some of the examples have links at the bottom of the screen. They are clickable, as are all links in this presentation. To open links in this presentation, if necessary, press Escape to exit full screen mode. In the description box below the video, where it says, "These are the links mentioned in the video," click on More. The links will then appear in order. Locate the corresponding link and click on it. Now, on to our examples. Voter rolls example. Louisiana's voter rolls are very dirty. They did not get that way from diligent policing of our system. Election day voting machines. In 2009, it was known that the AVC Advantage DRE voting machines Louisiana has been using since 2006 are vulnerable to a wide variety of attacks on the voting process that would be successful and undetectable. This revelation was from a month-long Princeton University study. Here's the link. There are other research studies confirming that machines like ours are vulnerable to attack. See Overview of Software Security Issues in DRE Voting Machines, March 2018. Here's the link. DRE stands for Direct Recording Electronic Device. Given the fact multiple studies have proven our voting machines are vulnerable to attack, where is the proof from our election officials that our unauditable machines are as safe and our voting process is as secure as they claim? The closest thing to such proof is analysis of the cast vote records, or CVRs. A cast vote record is a date-time stamped anonymous electronic record of each ballot cast. Statistical analysis of CVRs is a replay of the election to see if voting patterns match normal patterns or if they reveal fraudulent manipulation. And here's the link from legalvotela.org, which is a treasure trove of information on how bad off our election system is. If our elections are as secure as our election officials claim, why don't they release our CVRs to prove it? They continue to refuse to do so. No citizenship? No problem. Proof of citizenship is no longer required to vote. A driver's license is all that is needed. Non-citizens have shown up on the voter rolls just by applying for or renewing a driver's license without ever actively registering to vote. Does this sound like Louisiana has been diligent in protecting the security of our system? Louisiana has a large number of illegals since it has been a de facto sanctuary state for years. How many illegals are now allowed to vote simply because they have a driver's license? Good luck on prying that answer out of our election officials. Early voting machines. Louisiana uses Dominion ImageCast X, or ICX, machines for early voting. In June of 2022, U.S. Homeland Security issued an alert for these machines. The alert supplied 13 mitigations to counter 9 vulnerabilities. It appears the 13 mitigations may not have been applied. Inquiries to officials have yielded no concrete proof to date that these 13 preventive measures were performed. These examples indicate a certain, let us say, laxity on the part of our officials where election security is concerned. But what do you call it when our election officials outsource the counting of our votes to a third party outside Louisiana? For those who may find this hard to believe, they are invited to view page 28 of, again, legalvotela.org. Some may call this abdication of responsibility. Given this sort of risky behavior on the part of our officials, there is a crying need for our next voting system to be as bulletproof as possible to voting attacks. A hand count system, due to its inherent passive security against cyber attacks on the voting process, is a perfect fit here. Let's get back to the hand count system with a recap of its advantages. A hand count voting system compared to a machine system is less expensive, buildable in-house, no need for outsiders, inherently more auditable, remains functional when the electric grid goes down, maintains security passively with no machines and no computer code to monitor. Given all these inherent advantages, the only way to prevent a hand count system from appearing glaringly superior to voting machine systems is to make it disappear from view. Act 480 has done exactly that by requiring voting machines. Here's the bottom line on Act 480 of 2021. Whereas Act 480 requires voting machines, but refuses to require 100% transparency for security, and whereas Act 480 effectively prohibits a 100% transparent and secure hand count system, Act 480 has doomed the security of our next voting system. Let that sink in for a bit. Act 480 has doomed the security of our next voting system. We now have an answer to the question: will Louisiana's proposed new voting system under Act 480 deliver secure elections? In light of all the above, the answer is no. In light of these facts, the only way Louisiana can legitimately guarantee maximum security of our next voting system is to repeal Act 480 of 2021 and pass legislation requiring a hand count voting system. Louisiana does not have to reinvent the wheel here. Remember Osage County, Missouri's successful hand count election of April 2023 mentioned previously? The procedure for that hand count election is contained in the Missouri statutes. In other words, the legislative trail has already been blazed. It won't be the first time Louisiana has adapted beneficial legislation from another state. Here are just 3 of the many resources out there that Louisiana can consult in crafting hand count legislation. These are courtesy of Linda Rance, who is a patriotic American and Missouri resident and a pivotal figure in Missouri's successful 2023 hand count election. This is Linda Rance's comprehensive e-manual. It includes references to the Missouri statutes that govern hand count elections. It also includes a lot of other information. This 9.5-minute video is a good overview of how the counting itself is done. This 20-minute video contains, among many other things, information to counter the bogus claims against hand count elections. God bless Linda Rance for her work in Missouri and for shining a very bright light on the doability of hand count elections. Although hand counting has inherently high security, this security ends when the hand counting ends and the results leave the voting precinct. At that point, the voting results are vulnerable. How vulnerable? Recall that our election officials have outsourced the counting of our votes to a third party outside Louisiana and out of our sight. Translation: they are very vulnerable. Therefore, to preserve the security of a hand count voting system, any hand count legislation must exclude the use of outsourcing in addition to electronic machines throughout the entire election process. Such a statement will no doubt trigger hand-wringing, possible cases of apoplexy, and some wailing and gnashing of teeth on the part of some. However, it would be well to remember that once upon a time, well before outsourcing and electronics, votes were hand-counted and the vote totals were successfully aggregated for the entire state. It is also important to remember the continued survival of our republic depends on the security of our election system, so the voices of we the people and only we the people can be heard loud and clear. Given this, is it not worth any cost in time, money, and man-hours, blood, sweat, and tears to ensure the most secure election system possible? If you agree and want to help, there is something you can do, and you can do it without leaving home. If you believe there is nothing you can do that will make a difference, remember this. During COVID, the Louisiana Department of Health was about to mandate the vax for school kids. Motivated citizens contacted their state representatives by the thousands. A hearing was convened by the House Committee on Health and Welfare. LDH was summoned. At the hearing, LDH was spanked. It was reminded the legislature has ultimate oversight over public health, not LDH. The vax was nixed. Our kids were safer. The score was citizens 1, control freak bureaucrats 0. When our citizens speak with one voice, legislators listen. Please email this presentation to your state representative and your state senator. When you do, request a yes or no reply as to whether they will support hand count legislation and repeal of Act 480 of 2021. Please email this PowerPoint to people you know who are concerned about the sorry state of Louisiana elections but don't know what to do. Thanks in advance for doing this for our republic. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and God bless America.